Mike, would just say that, you know, obviously these decisions are not easy decisions to be made. Obviously there's a lot of input from a lot of different people. You know, we were waiting as long as we could to make this decision, and it came this morning after talking to NC State and their officials and meeting with their officials down there about their emergency response teams not having the game this Saturday. So obviously the release came out indicating that. You know, I think first and foremost is the safety and welfare of our student athletes going into that type of situation for their athletes, and more importantly the citizens of North Carolina and what they're going to be facing here in the next 4 or 5 days was very important to be able to release hotel rooms that fans had, give the ability for those evacuating the coast areas to come inland, so it gave more time and relief from that aspect, and that's why a decision was made early this afternoon. All indications from their weather people is the storm is intensifying. It's moving directly towards the coast of North Carolina. Things haven't changed in that matter. It's only intensifying. So that was the need to make the call today. Questions?
So is there any chance this game will be made up this season?
Really, Greg, we didn't really get into a whole lot of options. Looking at our schedule, you know, it's going to be very difficult. I'll tell you, looking at our dates, October 20th, I will not be scheduling a game on our off week. Anybody that knows football knows I'm not going to play a game on Saturday and turn back around to play a game on Thursday night. So that's not an option for me. I'm trying to help our coaching staff and our student athletes be prepared each and every week, and that would not allow them to do that, especially with the opponent having a week and a half to prepare. You're going to ask the question about December 3rd. December 3rd, I plan on being in Dallas.
Could you play the next Saturday?
The next Saturday, I think it becomes irrelevant. Both games are already chosen. Everything. Well, why are you playing the game just to play? You know, our resume, I think, as a institution, speaks for itself. You know, with what we've already have. You know, we were fortunate enough to continue playing through the Big 12 championship and have a chance to win the Big 12 championship. We would have 11 wins against Power 5 institutions and 1 game against an FCS institution. Anybody else in the talks of the college football playoff, I don't think they'll have even that type of resume without playing this game.
Possible to have a return date in the future year?
We didn't get into that. Obviously, we have a contract. The contract says that we would go there this year. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but they are scheduled to play here next year.
Was there any discussion about the logistics of maybe flipping the home and home to move it here?
Yeah, but you know, that again, logistics. I mean, you're trying to sell 60,000 tickets. You don't have food for the concessions areas. You don't have the emergency response people on the books ready to go. It's a lot more difficult than it sounds logistically to make things happen that way. You know, there was some schools that I had talked to that are in similar situations this week. I talked about similar type of situations, and we'll play the game without fans. I'm not playing the game without fans. So, you know, this was the option, and then trying to have it here just as logistically was, it just could not happen.
Is that those same problems what applies to trying to find another site, and if you did so with the cost of paying for another stadium to use it, for example, just take it out of the bounds?
Yeah, I mean, trying to find another site at that point, again, it was their home game, so more their responsibility than ours. But, you know, again, you know, where you're not looking in North Carolina, because the entire state, you know, the option could be come here, but just, again, it was not just going to be feasible logistically just to make that happen. And then, you know, let's face it, you know, let's look at next year. It's not about this year. If we flip-flop, next year only have 5 home games, then starting out to have 2 of the 3 would be going to Missouri, going back to NC State, and starting out with James Madison home. And then you get into the Big 12 schedule. So it's not a matter of just looking in the vacuum of let's flip-flop a game. It's a matter of looking at your future schedule. And again, making sure that as an institution we're prepared, you know, from a scheduling standpoint to be able to win football games.
Shane, I understand this is way down the road, but could you play this home game, their home game, in the future just to fulfill that? It could be understood like 2024, but just for the purpose of fulfilling the contract.
Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned right now, I fulfilled the contract. I was planning on going there. I wanted to go there. We did everything within our power to go there. So, you know, the contract reads we were going to go there and they would come back here. We'll look at it. I think it's a good game for us in NC State. Again, I think their fans were excited. I was told that, you know, their fans from a ticket sales standpoint was very close to when Notre Dame visited there several years ago. Maybe it's big game because it seems like every time there's a big game there that a hurricane comes through. They experienced it 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember the exact date, but they had, I don't know how many inches of rain. They tried to play North Carolina during that, or tried to play Notre Dame during that time. So, you know, it's something I think from an opponent standpoint, Mike, we'll continue to look at in future schedules. If I look out my years, you know, going out, of course I have Virginia Tech on the schedule, Maryland, I got Pitt, Penn State. You're looking at least 25, 26 before you're adding additional Power Fives to the schedule.
So do schools have insurance for lost revenue in these type of situations?
I can't speak for NC State specifically. I'm assuming, but yes, we have you know, loss of revenue insurance and to be looked at.
Have you ever dealt with this type of situation before? And if not, what did you draw on to sort of work through?
Not directly from an athletic director's chair, but being in the conference office for 10 years, the ACC, having a number of schools that were in the footprint for hurricanes and dealing with the Miamis, the Florida States, the North Carolina schools, yes. So we've had many situations where you looked at the opportunities to play a game and not play a game. And first and foremost comes the safety and well-being of the citizens of that state as well as our student athletes.
You know,
Go ahead.
one more. I'm assuming this contract was you get so much to cover your travel expenses this year. NC State gets it next year, and you each do your home. Is that standard sort of contract?
So you don't have to foil the contract. There was a $300,000 payment they were paying us, and vice versa
cover
next
for
year,
you,
cover the expenses, and then so we were getting $300,000 to go there next year when they come here. We give them $300,000.
I know you can't speak for them, but is that part of the talks, the things that y'all try to work out? I would guess they're going to look at it a little bit and say, hey, you're getting the bigger financial benefit out of this if you just look at it as the contract is, you know, completed.
Well,
after
I mean,
next year.
and I'm assuming, Kevin, they have game contract. I mean, they have insurance for that game, a loss of revenue.
Okay.
So, you know, we each know basically what our numbers are for a game that you would happen to lose. So they're not, you know, if they have it, which I'm assuming, speaking for them, that they would be able to look at that as an institution.
Shane, does TV even reach out to you guys and try to compel or try to push for a makeup date, or are they just let you guys?
Yeah, I did not have any. I can't speak for NC State. I did not have any discussions with TV. Obviously, it was their home game, so it would be more with the home team. And again, I know they had conference calls with the conference office because you had North Carolina and Central Florida playing in Chapel Hill, which that game is also not going to be played. I just read before coming over here that Boston College plays at Wake Forest on Thursday night. It's been moved to a 5:30 kick now to try to get ahead of the storm in Winston-Salem. And, you know, I think there were some other games. You had Clemson playing at home. I'm not sure where, you know, what that stands from weather. You still have Virginia Tech, I believe, is hosting Marshall. You have Virginia playing at home. So you have a number of schools in the ACC that could be dealing with some issues from a TV or playing standpoint still.
And if it's a conference game, you have to find a way. If it's non-conference, I guess
I think it's simpler when it's not a conference game for, you know, from that, but when it's conference, obviously it plays a bigger part in the standings and, you know, in their specific leagues and divisions.
play without fans, move it here and play without fans. What if ESPN had said, ask you to do that?
The answer would still be the same.
Okay.